I guess some of you have already listened to some of my previous audios where I discussed that sometimes I like to people watch and that I'm fascinated with human behavior. It's not something that I've always felt all my life. I wasn't brought up in that type of environment, but it was something I acquired later on, and it was due to the struggles that I had and being around people that were from a totally different world that I was from. I began to learn how big the world is and how many different types of people that are in our world, people that we run into every single day. When I went through my struggles, I realized how small my mentality was. I realized how narrow-minded I was. I realized how small my world was. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that. See, because now I have the ability now where I can either stay where I am, or if I choose today, tomorrow, to go to Timbuktu, I can go to Timbuktu and live just like I'm living now, and I could just blend in. A lot of people can't do that. And I'm thankful to my Creator and my ancestors for it. But see, that requires a certain level of mental adaptability. That requires a certain amount of mental competence. And I'm going to tell you something. We need to stop diminishing the power of the mind. We need to stop diminishing how important a mental state is to a situation. We need to stop thinking in that material things are going to fix somebody's headspace. We need to stop thinking that, because it's not. And when I mean material, I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about somebody throwing things at them like, oh, well, all I got to do is give them a job. All I got to do is give them a place to stay. All I got to do is give them a ride. All I got to do is give them a membership in this club or this organization. Oh, all I got to do is pay for them to go to school. That doesn't address what's going on inside their head. Let me tell you something. It's not all about that, people. And unfortunately, being a person of color, that's exactly what I was taught to believe. All I need to do is have so much education and get so much stuff and be around certain people and everything will be okay. Well, it wasn't okay. It wasn't enough. I wasn't taught how to process feelings and deal with people, and I didn't know the true meaning of the word help until I needed it. The lengths that people went to help people that did nothing but cause trouble for them in their lives. Not just stroke a check or say a couple of prayers and keep it moving. No, I saw people that would literally bang on doors looking for their brothers and sisters. I saw people who would ride cross state lines, going to different shelters, looking for people that were missing in action. And these were the people that had been in and out of rehabs, in and out of facilities for years. But because of that person's undying love for them, they wasn't going to give up. See, these type of people knew the meaning of the word help. They understood it. The word help is an action verb. See, you can either do something actively or you could be passive. Now, I'm going to tell you what action is. Action is getting your hands dirty. Action is getting up and putting on clothes and getting in your car and hitting the road to go somewhere you've never been before to look for somebody that you care about, no matter what. Action is picking up the phone to listen to somebody talk when you know in the back of your mind that that person's not in their headspace, but all they needed was to hear your voice. It's not about a job. It's not about a big bank account. It's not about a whole bunch of classes that are taken. Why do you think there are so many children that go to school in college and all of a sudden you look up and see that they've committed suicide? Doesn't add up, does it? There was something going on in their mind, something that was missing, something that just didn't gel well. I watch documentaries and street interviews and things all the time online, and I do it not because I'm trying to toot my own horn that I made it over to the other side, because I know a couple of people who never survived. No, I do it to stay grounded and to remember that this is still a problem. I'm not going to ever get myself in a headspace where I create this little world around me and forget about what's outside of it. Because the truth is, the Creator created all of us. And every single one of us has a different story. I'm watching something called the Atlanta Street Interviews. And for those of you who might be interested in it, it's on YouTube. Go to the channel. It's called Atlanta Street Interviews. And there's this gentleman who goes around. He talks to people who are homeless, and he gets their story. Now, I know some of you might not be able to handle that. So just keep in mind that these are real people. There's no stage. So if you don't have the stomach to listen to these stories, I suggest you do not visit the channel. See, these are the stories that you don't hear on CNN. These are stories that you don't hear on NBC. The only time that you hear these stories is when that person does something extreme by trying to attack a prominent figure, or try to blow up a church, or try to shoot up a mall. That's the only time you hear about these people. Other than that, nobody pays any attention to them. See, there are some unsung heroes out there, people that you might probably sit next to on the train, and they volunteer at the food banks, and they go to the homeless shelters, and they help people just like this. And some of these people, they've been in and out the system all their lives because that's all they know. And unfortunately, for some of them, that's what they were born into, because that's what their mama did. That's what their daddy did. That's what their grandma did. That's what their granddaddy did. It's become a family business being homeless. It's become a family business for some being on drugs. And nothing it's become a curse. So I'm not going to even talk about those people because, see, as far as I'm concerned, their struggle is temporary in my mind, and I'm just going to do nothing but send positive energy to every single one of them, whether I know them or not. And just hope that the Creator has blessings for them. That's all I can do. But the ones that I can physically help, that's who I'm going to help. And I'm not going to sit up here and just give a whole bunch of lip service to the problem. If I can physically do it, I will do it. If that means showing up, if that means paying a bill, then that's what I'll do. But there's one condition. I'm not going to be disrespected. I'm not. We're going to be on an active program to correct the situation. Active. And there's not going to be any interlopers, no busybodies, no interference. Let's work on this together. Because once we start the program, that's it. And that's what I needed. And that's what I got. When I got the help that I needed to get clean, to get back on my feet financially, to get my mental back straight. When I needed help, these people were not hearing anything about any excuses. They weren't trying to sit around. Look, my 8:30 appointment was my 8:30 appointment, period. That was it. Fuck the world. My 4:30 session on Wednesday with the therapist was my 4:30 session on Wednesday with the therapist. Fuck the world. Okay? It wasn't time for, oh, well, I can't do it so-and-so because I ain't got a ride, and I can't do so-and-so. There were a program or two, and I'm not going to get into the names of them. But there was a couple of situations that I was in where I had to get some outpatient treatment, and I'm going to tell you something. The minute that you come with the excuses, you were out of there. You were out. Because they knew that there was somebody that was willing to take your spot. You have to take your life seriously. But see, there are some people that they are such an altered state of mind, their mental state, they don't know how to take things seriously. A lot of them have been floating through life pretending like they understand where people are coming from that are around them, and they don't. Some people can't even comprehend what is being told to them, but they've been faking the front for the whole time and don't know the meaning and can't process half the words that's being told to them. So they're being labeled as being hard-headed and difficult and all this stuff, when the truth is they have a learning disability, or the truth is that they might be under the influence of some type of drug that's causing them not to process words properly. But see, nobody wants to talk about that. Because the other person in their life has lost patience with them, the first thing they want to do is slap a label on somebody. See, what I'm concerned about is the people that are in the sphere of influence of the people that are suffering. We're not going to talk anymore about the people who are suffering. I've already spoken enough about that. My problem is with the people that are around them. Because, see, you got to have the right people around you if you want to get out of your shit. You got to have the right people around you. And if you don't have the right people around you, you're going to stay in that shit. It doesn't matter how many prayers to God, Jehovah, Yahweh that you want to make. You can take them to church 7 days a week. You can have 50 million Bible studies, and you can have 26 different counseling sessions and prayer groups and everything else that you want to have. But if your day-to-day and the environment that you're in is not structured enough, is not consistent enough to help that person stay with that whatever regimen or program that they're in, then their ass don't need to be there. Now, I know I'm getting on somebody's nerves today, and I'm sorry. I know there's probably a mother somewhere that's just holding out. I applaud you if you've been going through some shit with your child. I applaud you. But you got to check your surroundings. Is your environment helping structure and correct the situation that they're in? Because if you have a child that's involved in a situation and you still dabbling in the situation and that child is in the house with you, then how in the hell is that child going to turn around and rebuild their life and get out of the fucked up headspace that they're in if you still messing around with it? It's not going to happen. If you're married to a partner and they're doing the same thing, whether it be a behavior or whether it's a habit or whatever the case may be, and it's been going on for years and years and years and years and years, and you haven't made any adjustments in how things are run in the household and everything's still the same, when that person comes home and they're in and out the house, and they're going to see the same environment, so they're going to process everything in that environment the same way it was before. You're going to have to get drastic and change some shit around. And that's one last thing, and I'm going to let you go. If you got somebody that's going through some shit in your life, don't make it a habit of shuffling that person from this situation to that program to this and this and this, and you hadn't changed what was going on in your mindset and how you handle it. Your way did not work. Your best thinking did not help you in this situation. It's still fucked up. Something has to change. Sometimes you got to put the screws to it. So do us in the world a favor. Don't go around in the street telling everybody how you the victim and how you need prayer and this, that, and the other, and you haven't altered the environment, you haven't altered the circumstances, you haven't altered the way you've handled things, you haven't altered nothing. Especially if you're still involved with or contributed to what's going on with that person, you're making a fool out of yourself. Because there's always going to be that one person who knows better. They're going to be like, oh, Lord, there he goes again whining about that situation. I already know why that situation occurred in the first place. See, stop going around trying to make it seem like that you're the one that's the victim. It's not about whether or not you feel like a victim or whether you are a victim. This person is in pain. They need help, period. Stop trying to make the situation about your suffering. That person's suffering way more than you are. Am I saying that is right? No. But that person is the one that has to deal with it every single day in their headspace all the time, and all of a sudden you want the world to look at you. You better check your damn self, I'm telling you. That's not right. So instead of all this lip service that you're giving the world, what are you actively doing to change the situation? If you're not, nobody's going to take you seriously, not anybody who's really paying attention.